This afternoon, we're going to present the first Maria Leavey Tribute Award. Over the last days, you've heard from the leaders of our movement, the new populist senators, the presidential candidates, the leaders of various parts of the organizations that drive the progressive movement. Now we want to honor the leaders that you don't hear from, the creative and the dedicated who work back scenes to organize and to make things happen. I want to tell you about Maria Leavey. Some of you may have known her, many of you will not have had that pleasure. She was a person who wasn't very visible, but she was vital to our movement and played an extraordinary role at building this event. I first met Maria Leavey about 3 years ago. Characteristically, she came with an idea and with the will to make it happen, and with the energy to overcome the inertia and the resistance and the skepticism and the aggravation about how much it would cost. And out of that came Radio Row and the Bloggers Boulevard and the connection of this event to people across the country. It was an extraordinary contribution, and it was a contribution very much like Maria made every day. She grew up in a home that was intensely active and passionate about politics. Her sister Ann says that newspapers were everywhere and politics were the nightly topic around the family dinner table. She went on to get a Phi Beta Kappa in history at Trinity College, went on to Penn State for a graduate degree where she found her passion, which was radio and media. She decided it was very important to the progressive movement for them to start to capture what was available in the new media and to build an infrastructure that would link progressives to that media. And so she set out characteristically on her own to make this happen. She came to Washington. With her commitment and her ideas, she made herself indispensable to many senators as she helped them figure out how to do radio actualities in their campaigns. She used that financial base to support an extraordinary level of voluntary activity. She took young people, many of the young bloggers, many young reporters, and connected them with the senior senators that she knew, opening doors for them that they could otherwise not get through. She brought them together at her dinner table, fed them, often the only good meal many of them had for a week, and filled them full of political talk and her passion. She was tenacious, she was persistent, she worked behind the scenes, and she made an amazing contribution. Let me show you a brief video that kind of gives you a flavor of that.
It's this cliche that you hear all the time in the press. You know, you want no friends in Washington, you don't have any friends in Washington. It's a political public cliche. But Paul doesn't have a friend in Washington. It was Maria Leavey.
She represented the United Progressives. She had such an exuberance and an excitement about her when she could help progressive candidates, help progressive causes, and it brought a real synergism to the movement, I think.
Her understanding of the radio industry was really significant. Having come from academia, she had an outstanding working knowledge of the radio business, as though she had stations.
Maria's life is a personification of progressive fundraising. You ready? Overlooked, underpaid, tenuous at best, more needed today than yesterday, but passionate and persistent.
She devoted her life to fighting for people that didn't shadow life, the 6-4 minimum wage earners working without any benefits, people with disabilities.
She really lived a life. A person who gave everything.
We have to try to create a world in her honor that would recognize someone like her, someone who works enthusiastically and effectively, has great ideas, and operates behind the scenes to get things done. So, at the Takebackamerica conference this year and in each successive year, we will put together the word and we will again be able to capture the heart of the
Maria Leavey. This award, as I mentioned in the video, came from a discussion on the blogosphere about the loss that people felt very deeply when Maria was taken from us last December, suddenly and unexpectedly, and what we could do to remember her. Now, there's an irony in that, because I think Maria would have been very not particularly happy with the notion of getting this kind of visibility, or at least skeptical about spending a lot of time on it. But we were very dedicated, and an extraordinary array of people across the country were dedicated at making something happen. They contributed time, ideas, money, and out of this came the Maria Leavey Award. We asked people to nominate their unsung heroes, people who would bring diverse communities together, who are persistent and don't give up, who don't look for credit but rather give it to others, and who push forward new ideas, helping the movement to grow and expand. We went out over the web, through the blogosphere, to ask people for nominations. We asked them to do a lot of work to create a nomination. They had to have references, they had to write something. We were stunned at the number of entries we got, and truly appreciative about it. Then 8 volunteers vetted those. They read dozens of nominations each. They ranked them. They then all read through the top ones again and ranked them again. We put them out to a vote. Over 2,000 people voted, and the person you chose is a great person to receive the first Maria Leavey Award. Ari Lipman is just starting out, but he's already made an extraordinary difference. He went on to college, sort of like many of us, not clear about what he was going to do in life. He was talented as a musician. He was thinking about the Foreign Service. And he was headed to Harvard. What could be bad about that? When he got to Harvard, he met his well-heeled classmates, and he also confronted the homeless people who were sleeping in grates to keep warm. He had extra time between Arabic and chamber music, and so he started volunteering in a homeless shelter. 6 months later, he was that shelter's director. But he realized that the shelter wasn't enough. It helped the people it served, but it wasn't going to the underlying issues that caused those people to need that shelter in the first place. He wanted to make change on a bigger scale, so he started organizing with the Greater Boston Interfaith Organization. When he left college, he worked for them full-time. They didn't have funding for a position. Sounds like Maria Leavey, actually. So undaunted, he went out and found the grant to pay for his salary. For the last 7 years, he's been working there on issues such as health care, immigrant rights, and get-out-the-vote campaigns. He's just completed his master's in theological studies at the Divinity School at Harvard, and now he's headed to Ohio, where he will be working with the Industrial Areas Foundation to inject the issues of poverty and blight and job loss into the presidential election. He will make a difference there. We know he will make a difference there and many other places. He has the extraordinary qualities of leadership, of persistence, of dedication, and of selflessness that are the qualities that made Maria very special to many of us. At this time, to present that award, it's my great pleasure to introduce Ann Leavey, Maria's sister, to present the Maria Leavey Award.
I'd like to thank the Campaign for America's Future for remembering my sister by establishing an award that celebrates the value of grunt work. So it is my special pleasure to present the first Maria Leavey Tribute Award to Ari Lipman, an extremely hardworking young man. Maria would have applauded this choice. So Ari, will you come out, please?
Thank you so much. Thank you for this tremendous honor in the name of Maria Leavey, a tireless organizer, an inspiration to so many of us here in this room and beyond. I also want to give a special thank you to my parents, Hen and Timothy Lipman, who were able to come here. I owe you so much. Thanks, Mom and Dad. Just before I left Boston on Monday, one of my great mentors, the Reverend Herman Hamilton of Roxbury Presbyterian Church, shared with me a bit of good news, which I'd like to share with you. Laverne Barnes, a 55-year-old member of his church, Roxbury Presbyterian, has gone without health insurance for over 5 years now. Now, it's because of women like Ms. Barnes that the Greater Boston Interfaith Organization fought so hard to win for Massachusetts the closest thing our nation has to universal health care right now. 6 weeks ago, Ms. Barnes was able to sign up for one of these new affordable health care plans that we helped create, just in time. 3 weeks ago, she came down with a sinus infection. Now, before, she would have just tried to tough it out. But this time, she did something she hadn't done in years. She went to see a doctor. Now, when her new physician found out how long it had been since her last visit, he conducted a comprehensive exam. These tests revealed that Ms. Barnes was also suffering from a severe blocked intestine, which, if left untreated, would kill her by the end of the year. She was immediately scheduled for surgery. 1 week ago, Ms. Barnes left the hospital, fully recovered and without medical bills. Thank you, Massachusetts. This coming weekend, Jews around the world will open the Torah to the book of Numbers to retell a pivotal moment in the history of Israel. 40 years have passed wandering in the desert. The promised land is in sight. The children of Israel can taste the milk and honey in the air, which makes yet another meal of bitter manna even harder to swallow down. But before God's people can enter Canaan, the older generation of leadership, those who were born in slavery and trapped in old ideas, they must yield. This week's Torah portion tells of the deaths of Miriam and Aaron and God's judgment that even Moses cannot enter Canaan. Only new leadership can bring the nation to fulfill its destiny. Now, it feels like our country has been wandering, lost in a desert. And those stories, like that of Laverne Barnes, give us a taste of what it might be like to live in the Promised Land. It's getting harder and harder to imagine how our current leadership could ever get us there. And that is why I am so proud to be standing here in this room with all of you, part of the next generation, ready together to lead our nation to a world where, in the words of the prophet Amos, justice rolls down like waters, and righteousness like a mighty stream. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, shehechianu, v'kiimanu, v'higianu, lazman hazeh. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, ruler of the universe, who has kept us alive, sustained us, and brought us together to this day. Thank you so much. Amen.